When was the last time you looked in the mirror and truly saw yourself? Not just your face, not just the tired eyes or the lines of stress, but the person behind it all. Too often we rush through life, chasing deadlines, trying to please others, proving ourselves to the world, and forgetting the one person who matters most, you. You give and give, but how often do you stop and ask, am I valuing myself the way I deserve? Deep down, you know the answer. You've ignored your own worth, your own dreams, your own focus for too long. That's why this moment right here is different. This is not about motivation you'll forget tomorrow. This is about reclaiming what has always been yours, your value. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by outside noise, voices telling you who you should be, what you should look like, how much you should earn, how fast you should move. You've been told that your worth comes from others' approval, from their applause, from their acceptance. But tell me, how long will you keep handing your life over to people who don't even walk in your shoes? Every day you continue to measure yourself by someone else's standard, you shrink a little more. And yet deep inside there's a fire waiting to break free. You felt it, that restless voice that whispers, there's more to me. I'm meant for more. That voice isn't lying. That voice is your truth. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep drifting, distracted by things that don't build you, consumed by comparison, trapped in cycles that steal your energy. Or you can decide today, this very second, that your focus belongs to you, that your value isn't something to be begged for or proven. It's something you own. And when you start valuing yourself, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to shift. People start treating you the way you treat yourself. Doors open that you never noticed before. Opportunities align because you finally stop lowering your standards. I know what you're thinking. It's not easy. You've tried before and slipped back into old patterns. But understand this, failure is not the opposite of progress. It's part of it. Every time you fall, you gain proof that you are still in the fight. The real danger isn't in failing, it's in giving up on yourself. Imagine what would happen if, just for the next 30 days, you gave yourself the focus you've given to others. Imagine where your life could be if you poured even half the energy you waste on doubt into action. This message is not here to flatter you. It's here to wake you, to remind you that you are not behind, you are not broken, you are not unworthy. You are in a moment of decision. And if you stay with me, if you give yourself the gift of listening through to the end, you will walk away with something more powerful than temporary motivation. You will walk away with clarity, courage, and a deep conviction that you are enough and that it's time to finally live like it. This is your wake-up call. This is the moment everything begins to change. Stay with me because the best part of your story hasn't even started yet. You have been told to wait for the perfect time, as if one day everything will magically align and you will finally feel ready. But the truth is, waiting has never created change. Waiting has only kept you in the same cycle, repeating the same patterns, convincing yourself that tomorrow will somehow be different. You already know what tomorrow will look like if nothing changes. Another day lost, another day where your energy is scattered and your value is ignored. That is why this moment matters so much. Because today is the only day you ever truly own. And the decision you make in this moment will define whether you keep postponing your life or finally take ownership of it. Focus is not about working harder. It's about reclaiming your attention from everything that drains you. Think about how many hours you spent scrolling, worrying, comparing, or trying to prove yourself. Those hours are not coming back. Every distraction you entertain robs you of the chance to build the life you crave. When you learn to focus, you stop living in fragments. You stop scattering your power across 1,000 meaningless things and you start pouring it into what matters most. That shift alone can change everything. Because energy flows where attention goes, and when you give yourself focused attention, your life begins to expand. Valuing yourself is not arrogance, it's survival. How many times have you sacrificed your own needs just to keep the peace? How many times have you swallowed your voice to avoid rejection? You've been trained to think self-respect is selfish, but here's the reality. When you devalue yourself, you teach the world to do the same. People mirror what you project. If you accept less than you deserve, others will hand you less without hesitation. But the moment you set the standard, the moment you say, I know my worth and I won't compromise, everything begins to shift. Respect follows courage. Value attracts opportunity. Confidence builds trust. Think of the strongest people you admire. They are not defined by luck, money, or circumstance. They are defined by their ability to protect their focus and guard their value. They understand the simple truth. No one is coming to hand you permission to rise. No one will tap you on the shoulder and say, now is the time to believe in yourself. That responsibility has always been yours. And the longer you wait for someone else to validate you, the further you drift from the life you deserve. So ask yourself right now, how much longer will you put yourself last? How much longer will you play small when you were built for more? The clock is ticking whether you move or not. The world does not pause while you doubt yourself. The opportunities, the connections, the breakthroughs, they pass by every single day, waiting for someone brave enough to claim them. Why not you? Why not now? The truth is, courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to act even while fear whispers in your ear. You don't need every step mapped out. You don't need certainty. You need focus, you need self-respect, and you need the decision to no longer betray yourself. Because when you make that decision, when you finally choose to see yourself as valuable, the world has no choice but to follow your lead. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about uncovering the strength, the focus, and the worth that have been inside you all along. The moment you decide to value yourself, everything begins to feel different. You notice the conversations you no longer want to have, the habits that no longer serve you, the environments that no longer deserve your presence. At first, it feels uncomfortable, even strange, because you're stepping away from what has been familiar for so long. But understand this, growth is never supposed to feel comfortable. Growth is supposed to stretch you, challenge you, and pull you into a version of yourself you've always known was waiting. That discomfort is not a sign you're failing. It's proof you're finally moving in the right direction. Most people will never take this step because it requires courage. It requires you to let go of approval, to release the need to be liked by everyone, and to embrace the possibility that some will misunderstand you. But ask yourself, would you rather live misunderstood but free, or understood but trapped inside a life that doesn't reflect who you are? Too many stay trapped because they fear rejection. Yet the truth is, rejection is never the end. It's simply redirection. Every no clears space for a better yes. Every closed door forces you to step toward the one that was built for you. When you focus, your vision sharpens. You stop being tossed around by the chaos of the world. Distractions lose their grip because you realize your attention is the most valuable currency you have. Give it to negativity and you build a negative life. Give it to doubt and you strengthen the chains that hold you back. But give it to your growth, your goals, your belief, and you begin to transform the very fabric of your reality. Focus is the lens that turns scattered energy into unstoppable momentum. And as you build momentum, something powerful happens inside you. Confidence is born not from wishing, but from doing. Every small act of focus reinforces the truth that you are capable. Every time you choose yourself over distraction, you send a signal to your own mind that you are worthy of discipline, worthy of success, worthy of more. This is how self-value grows, not from words, but from choices. The more you choose in alignment with your worth, the stronger it becomes. Think of the times you've abandoned yourself in the past. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You stayed quiet when your heart was screaming to speak. You accepted less than you deserved because you were afraid of losing people. But here's what you need to see. Every time you betray yourself, you lose a piece of your own trust. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why it feels like you're stuck. The way out is not to wait for someone to rescue you. It's to rebuild trust with yourself, one decision at a time. Decide to focus. Decide to value your time. Decide to honor your worth, even when it's difficult. The more you keep these promises to yourself, the more unstoppable you become. And soon you'll realize that the opinions, the doubts, the fears, they were never as powerful as the strength that was within you all along. This is a turning point where you stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your own truth. This is where freedom begins. There comes a point when you realize that the greatest battle is not with the world outside, but with the voice inside your own mind. That quiet whisper that tells you you're not ready, not worthy, not strong enough. That voice has kept you small for too long. It thrives on your hesitation, feeds on your fears, and grows stronger every time you choose doubt over courage. But here's the truth, that voice is not you. It's the echo of old conditioning, of years spent absorbing limits that never belonged to you. The moment you see this, you gain power. You realize you are not chained by your past, you are only chained by the lies you continue to believe. When you decide to focus, you begin to silence the noise. Focus is not just about goals, it is about clarity. It's about cutting through the endless layers of distraction until all that remains is the truth of who you are and what you want. And when you finally see that truth, it hits you with force. You are capable of so much more than you have allowed yourself to believe. You are stronger than the setbacks, wiser than the failures, and braver than the fears that once controlled you. This is not about becoming someone new. This is about waking up to who you have always been, beneath the weight of doubt. Self-value grows in the soil of self-respect. Every time you keep your word to yourself, every time you protect your focus, every time you choose growth over comfort, you water that soil, and slowly the roots of confidence begin to spread deep. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you build brick by brick, choice by choice. The more you build, the less you care about external approval. Because once you know your own worth, the world cannot take it from you. But there is a challenge most overlooked. When you begin to value yourself, not everyone will celebrate you. Some will resist, some will criticize, some will even walk away. And in those moments, you will be tempted to shrink again, to dim your light just to fit back into their comfort. Do not, because every person who leaves makes space for those who are aligned with your truth. Every critic becomes proof that you are no longer living for them. You are living for you. That is not loss. That is freedom. The path ahead will not be free of fear, but it will be full of power. You will still feel the tremble in your hands, the doubt in your chest, the pull of old habits. But you will act anyway, because courage is not about eliminating fear. It's about refusing to let fear decide your life. And the more you act in spite of fear, the weaker it becomes. Each step forward is a declaration. I am focused. I am valuable. I am worthy. This is the transformation you've been waiting for. Not a sudden miracle, not a life handed to you on a silver plate, but a daily commitment to yourself. To guard your focus, to honor your worth, to silence the old voice and amplify the new one. And as you live this commitment, you will discover something extraordinary. You were never lacking. You were always enough. Now it's time to live like it. The reason most people never experience their true potential is not because they lack ability, but because they constantly betray their own focus. They start with intention, but the moment distractions call, they hand away their energy. They make promises to themselves, but they break them at the first sign of resistance. This cycle erodes self-belief until you begin to think discipline is impossible and worth is optional. But the truth is different. Discipline is not a gift for the few. It is a decision available to anyone who chooses to value themselves enough to follow through. And worth is never optional. It is the foundation of every meaningful action you take. When you decide to protect your focus, you are declaring to yourself and to the world that your life matters. You are saying your dreams deserve more than your doubts. Your time deserves more than your distractions, and your energy deserves more than endless cycles of pleasing others. This decision reshapes you from the inside out. You begin to walk differently, think differently, and speak differently. Because you carry a new standard, you no longer negotiate with your worth. That standard is powerful because it doesn't just change how you see yourself. It changes how the world responds to you. Every person you admire, every leader, every creator, every builder of something lasting, they all reached a point where they drew a line and said, no more. No more giving away their focus to fear. No more giving away their value to people who never respected it. No more living small. And that decision became the seed of transformation. You are standing at that same point right now. You can either keep bending, breaking, and betraying yourself, or you can decide that your focus and your value are non-negotiable from this day forward. Yes, the path will be tested. Life will throw obstacles in your way, but you must remember, obstacles are not signs to turn back. They are invitations to grow stronger. Every challenge is an opportunity to prove your commitment to yourself. Every difficulty is a weight that, when lifted, builds the muscle of discipline. And with every test you pass, your self-value grows deeper, more unshakable. You begin to realize that what once seemed impossible now feels inevitable because you have chosen to stand firm in your worth. The mind will try to trick you into thinking small. It will say you don't have enough time, enough talent, enough resources. But what it really means is you haven't fully chosen to focus. Once you make that choice, the excuses lose power. You start to see possibilities where you once saw limits. You stop saying, I'll try, and you start saying, I will. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. It turns hesitation into momentum and momentum into transformation. So hear this clearly. You do not need permission to value yourself. You do not need approval to focus on your path. You do not need the world to believe in you before you begin. All you need is the courage to decide that you are worth it, because you are. And when you live from that truth every single day, nothing can hold you back. Not fear, not doubt, not the past. Only you decide how far you will go, and you are ready to go further than you've ever gone before. Every time you choose to honor your worth, you reclaim a piece of your power. You start to see that life is not something happening to you, it's something responding to you. When you treat yourself as valuable, you send a clear signal. This is the standard, this is the level, this is the life I accept. And the world has no choice but to adjust. People who once took advantage begin to fall away. Opportunities you once overlooked begin to appear. Your reality bends to the strength of the boundaries you set. Focus is the tool that makes this transformation possible. Without focus, your energy is scattered, your vision blurred, and your progress fragile. But with focus, you become unstoppable. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most with relentless clarity. When you are focused, your time is no longer wasted on what drains you. Your mind no longer bends under the weight of endless comparisons. You stand firm, fully present, fully alive in the pursuit of what fuels you. That level of presence is rare, but it is the birthplace of greatness. You must understand that self-value is not just a mindset, it's a discipline. It is practiced every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you hold yourself accountable, every time you silence the excuses and take action. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Like a muscle, self-respect is built through consistent use. The stronger it grows, the less you tolerate anything that contradicts it. You stop chasing validation because you already carry validation within yourself. You stop waiting for the perfect time because you create the time through your choices. The cost of not valuing yourself is high. It shows up in the relationships that drain you, the opportunities you miss, the dreams you bury, and the quiet frustration that keeps you awake at night. That frustration is not weakness. It is a signal. It is life telling you that you were made for more than what you have settled for. The longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes. And at some point, it will demand change. That change can feel intimidating, but remember, every transformation begins with discomfort. The pain of staying the same is far greater than the pain of growing. There will be days when you feel tired, when the voice of doubt returns, when the distractions feel louder than your purpose. On those days, you must remind yourself why you started. You must remind yourself that focus is freedom and self-value is strength. You must remind yourself that discipline today builds confidence tomorrow, and every step forward compounds into a future you can be proud of. Nothing worth having is built overnight, but everything worth having is built through consistency. So choose yourself again and again, even when it feels hard, even when it feels lonely, even when the world doesn't understand, because every choice to value yourself is a brick in the foundation of the life you are creating. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the power you once searched for outside of you was always within. The only difference is now you've chosen to live like it. The greatest shift happens when you stop begging for external validation and begin creating internal certainty. Certainty that you are enough. Certainty that your dreams are valid. Certainty that your time and energy are sacred. This certainty doesn't appear overnight. It is forged each time you choose to protect your focus and refuse to compromise your worth. Every decision becomes evidence. Every small victory becomes proof. And soon, you no longer wonder if you're capable, because your actions leave no room for doubt. You start to embody the truth you once questioned. You are powerful, you are worthy, and you are unstoppable when you decide to be. This power grows the moment you recognize that your life is shaped by what you tolerate. If you allow constant distraction, distraction will own you. If you allow people to diminish you, they will. If you allow your own excuses to lead, you will stay stuck. But the moment you draw the line and declare, I will no longer accept less than what I deserve, your reality shifts. Toleration turns into transformation. You are no longer a passive participant in your life. You become the architect of it. That decision is the foundation of self-value. The mind is wired to conserve energy. to keep you safe in patterns you've outgrown. That is why breaking free feels so hard. It's not because you lack strength. It's because your brain is trying to convince you that comfort equals safety. But comfort is the silent thief of dreams. Safety is an illusion when it costs you your potential. Real safety is found in growth, in resilience, in knowing that no matter what challenges come, you will rise because you have chosen to rise every day. Presents you with two choices: betray yourself or build yourself. Betrayal is easy. It requires no effort, no discipline, no courage. But it also guarantees regret. Building yourself is harder, yes, but it guarantees pride. Pride that you chose focus over distraction. Pride that you honored your worth instead of sacrificing it. Pride that you are becoming the person you always knew you could be. And that pride becomes fuel. The more you feel it, the more momentum you create, and the further you go. Do not underestimate the compound power of small acts of self-respect. Waking up and keeping a promise to yourself, saying no to what drains you, dedicating an hour to your growth instead of wasting it on noise. These moments may seem small, but they are seeds. Over time, they grow into unshakable confidence, unstoppable momentum, and undeniable transformation. Greatness is not built in giant leaps. It is built in relentless steps taken with focus and self-value. The question is no longer whether you can. The question is whether you will. Will you keep letting distraction dictate your life, or will you choose to step into clarity? Will you keep allowing fear to mute your voice, or will you choose courage? Will you keep abandoning yourself, or will you decide once and for all to value who you are and what you bring to this world? The power has always been in your hands, it always will be, and the moment you claim it fully, nothing will ever be the same again. The life you desire will not wait forever. Time moves, whether you act or not, and each day spent doubting yourself is a day you can never reclaim. This truth may feel heavy, but it is also freeing because it reminds you of the urgency to choose now. Not when you feel ready, not when everything aligns. Now, readiness is not something you wait for. It is something you create through action. The more you act, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the clearer your worth feels. And once you see your worth, you can never return to the smallness you once accepted. The danger of living without focus is not only that you waste time, but that you begin to forget who you are. You lose yourself in noise and comparison and the endless chase for approval. Slowly, piece by piece, you hand away the best of you until you wake up wondering why you feel empty. That emptiness is not permanent. It is a reminder. It is your inner self calling out, asking you to return, asking you to choose you. The question is whether you will answer. Every excuse you've ever made has been rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. But fear has never been a reliable guide. Fear shrinks your life, keeps you stagnant, and convinces you that surviving is safer than living. But you were not created to simply survive. You were built with potential too vast to remain caged by fear. The moment you choose to focus and honor your worth, fear begins to lose its hold. It may still whisper, but it can no longer control you because your actions prove that you are stronger than your doubts. Understand this: valuing yourself is not optional if you want to live fully. You cannot expect others to treat you as worthy if you constantly dismiss your own needs, if you silence your own dreams, if you accept less than what you deserve. People take cues from how you treat yourself. When you focus and set standards, you teach the world how to treat you, and those who cannot rise to that standard will fall away. That is not a loss. It is alignment. It creates space for the right people, the right opportunities, and the right path to enter. Progress is not measured by how fast you go, but by the direction you choose and the consistency you keep. Small actions, repeated with focus and rooted in self-value, build unstoppable momentum. One day of discipline may not change your life, but 30 days can. One decision to say no to distraction may feel small, but 100% of those decisions can transform everything. The compound effect of valuing yourself daily is what creates the extraordinary life you dream of. So the challenge before you is simple yet profound. Will you decide today that your focus is sacred? Will you declare that your value is non-negotiable? Will you act as though your time, your energy, and your potential matter too much to waste? Because they do. And the moment you begin to live in alignment with that truth, the world begins to shift. Not because it suddenly becomes easier, but because you finally step into the power that has been waiting inside you all along. The decision to focus and value yourself is the beginning of transformation, but the real change comes when you sustain it. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment. Anyone can promise themselves they will do better tomorrow, but only those who truly respect their own worth follow through when the motivation fades. That is where greatness is born, in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when the easy choice is to quit, but the powerful choice is to keep going. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust is the foundation of self-respect, and self-respect is the fuel of lasting success. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. A single act of focus may feel small, but consistency turns small into unstoppable. Every time you show up for yourself, you reinforce the belief that you matter, and belief is everything. What you believe about yourself sets the ceiling for what you allow in your life. If you believe you are limited, you live limited. If you believe you are valuable, you rise to meet that value. Belief does not come from wishful thinking. It is built through action, repetition, and proof. That is why the choice you make today matters. It is not just about today. It is about the belief you are building about who you are. There will always be distractions waiting to steal your focus. There will always be people who underestimate your worth, but none of that can stop you unless you allow it. The greatest victories are not won by fighting against every obstacle, but by refusing to surrender your focus to them. You don't need to respond to every doubt, every critic, or every challenge. You need only to stay aligned with your vision, protect your energy, and keep moving forward. Focus is not about what you fight. It's about what you feed. And when you feed your goals, your discipline, and your belief, they grow stronger every single day. The process of valuing yourself will strip away what no longer serves you. At first, it may feel like loss, but in reality, it is liberation. You cannot hold on to your old self and step into your new one at the same time. Something has to be released. That release creates space for growth. It creates space for clarity. It creates space for the version of you that is aligned with power, discipline, and worth. The more you let go of what holds you back, the lighter and stronger you become. And as you become stronger, you will notice a shift. Fear will still whisper, but its voice will no longer control you. Doubt will still appear, but it will no longer define you. Distractions will still exist, but they will no longer pull you away from what matters most. You will walk with a different energy, one that comes from knowing your value and protecting it with focus. That energy is magnetic. It draws the right opportunities, the right people, and the right moments into your path. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is about choosing every day to respect your worth, to guard your focus, and to build a life that reflects your true potential. And as you continue, you will discover that nothing outside of you has the power to control your destiny, because the greatest power has always been within you. The choice to focus, the choice to value yourself, the choice to rise. The more you strengthen your focus and honor your worth, the more you begin to see how much of life was wasted on things that never truly mattered. The arguments you replayed in your head, the doubts you entertained, the endless chase for acceptance, none of it ever added to your growth. What builds you is what you give your energy to today. Every moment of clarity you claim, every boundary you set, every distraction you cut away is an investment in the future you are building. And that future is worth every ounce of discipline you can give. You must remind yourself that your time is not infinite. Every hour you waste cannot be recovered. That truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to ignite urgency, because urgency is fuel. It reminds you that you don't have the luxury of waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment does not exist. What exists is now. And now is the only time strong enough to transform your life. The people who build lasting change are not the ones who wait for confidence or motivation. They are the ones who act in the face of uncertainty, who value their time enough to stop postponing their dreams. When you value yourself, you stop negotiating with procrastination. You stop giving away your focus to things that weaken you. You stop treating your goals like optional hobbies and begin treating them like non-negotiable priorities. That shift changes everything, because once you stop asking, should I, and start declaring, I will, you remove hesitation from your path. And without hesitation, momentum builds quickly. That momentum becomes power. and power becomes transformation. There will always be voices around you that tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to settle. These voices are not your truth. They are reflections of fear, of limitation, of people too afraid to claim their own worth. If you listen, you will shrink back into the same cycle you are fighting to escape. But if you stay focused, if you stay aligned with your value, those voices lose their grip. You realize they can only define you if you hand them the authority to do so. And you no longer hand your power to anyone. Every decision you make in alignment with your worth creates a ripple. It strengthens your belief. It reinforces your discipline. It attracts opportunities that match your new standard. Over time, these ripples turn into waves, and those waves carry you into a reality you once thought was impossible. What seemed out of reach begins to feel natural because you have trained yourself to rise. And the higher you rise, the more you realize that the limits you once believed in were never real. They were only stories you outgrew. This is why you cannot afford to drift through life unfocused, undervaluing yourself, waiting for change to arrive on its own. Change will never arrive unless you create it. The life you want will not simply knock on your door. It is built through your choices, through your consistency, through the decision to treat your worth as undeniable. That decision is available to you right now. And if you make it, if you fully commit to it, nothing will ever look the same again. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not talent, not luck, not even opportunity. It is focus. It is the refusal to allow distractions to consume the energy meant for growth. It is the decision to value yourself enough to demand more from every single day. When you live with this kind of focus, you begin to see that success is not one giant leap, but the result of thousands of deliberate steps. Each step is small, but each step proves something profound. You are no longer living by chance. You are living by choice. Choice is where your power lives. You cannot control the past. You cannot control how others see you, but you can always control how you respond, where you place your energy, and how fiercely you guard your worth. Every choice either strengthens your future or steals from it. Every choice either builds your confidence or breaks it. When you understand this, you stop treating your decisions as meaningless. You begin to see them as bricks, each one laid down to create the foundation of the life you are building. That foundation grows stronger when you refuse to settle. Settling is the enemy of value. The moment you settle for less than you deserve, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you are willing to accept mediocrity. But you are not here for mediocrity. You are here to rise, to create, to expand into the person you were meant to be. And that requires standards. Standards that you do not bend or compromise no matter how tempting it feels to take the easy way out. Your standards are proof of your self-respect. Protect them, honor them, live by them. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, when the weight of consistency feels exhausting. On those days, you must remember why you began. You must remember that the pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Regret whispers in your ear late at night. It reminds you of the chances you didn't take, the focus you abandoned, the worth you ignored. But you have the power to silence regret before it begins, by acting now, by staying focused, by valuing yourself so deeply that failure is never the end, but simply a step toward strength. As you move forward with this mindset, life begins to mirror your energy. Confidence grows, clarity sharpens. You begin to notice opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to attract people who respect you because you finally respect yourself. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. When your inner world shifts, your outer world has no choice but to follow. That is the true reward of focus and self-value. You don't just change your actions, you change your reality. And with that new reality comes freedom. Freedom from the opinions that once controlled you. Freedom from the doubts that once paralyzed you. Freedom from the cycles that once drained you. That freedom is worth every ounce of effort, every sacrifice, every moment of discomfort. Because once you taste it, you will never again be willing to go back to living small. You will know in your bones that you are meant for more, and you will have the discipline and the courage to claim it fully. Freedom is not found in escaping responsibility, but in owning it completely. When you choose to focus and value yourself, you stop blaming circumstances, stop waiting for others, and stop excusing inaction. You realize that your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by what you decide to do with it. This realization is not a burden, it is liberation. Because if your choices created the life you have now, your choices can also create the life you desire. That truth gives you control, and with control comes power. Power is not about dominating others. It is about mastering yourself. It is about learning to direct your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. It is about choosing discipline over distraction, courage over comfort, purpose over fear. This inner mastery becomes the foundation of everything else. Without it, you are a prisoner of impulse, tossed around by every doubt, every distraction, every demand. But with it, you become unshakable. You move through life with clarity. You stop reacting and you start creating.